Phew, hey, here we are. Let it run. Boy, oh boy, John, before we went live, you were telling me about your escapades down there in Charleston. And once again, I'm Freddie York here with Let It Run and my partner, John Costin, better known as the traveling handicapper. And certainly, once again, John, give us a little insight into what you've been dealing with today. You kind of gave me a quick rundown before we hit the live button, but my goodness, what a day for the traveling handicapper. Let's hear about it.
To get to this point for the traveling handicapper, what a chore. Now we're 3 o'clock. The day started. We left the house at 5:45 this morning. 8:20 flight. We're on the flight, ready to pull away. Problem with the plane. Then a couple minutes later, we can't fix it. Let's move 2 terminals over, and we will go to Terminal C instead of Terminal A. Everything, we get there, and my wife forgets her CPAP, her breathing device for sleeping. So I got to run all the way back 2 terminals, get the CPAP. I get back. We start boarding the plane. As soon as we get on the plane, I realize I lost my AirPods in the seat in front of me because I got off the plane so quick. My AirPods are flying to some other city right now. And in the beginning of the day, we don't have real IDs. We forgot our passports.
You never got them. You never got your earbuds.
Never got them. I put in a lost request, so hopefully they have them there when we get back, lost and found, or they mail them to me. Then we forgot our passports. We don't have a real ID, so we had to get it out of the pre-check line. And then we got down here, and our room wasn't ready yet. We're walking with our luggage on the street for 2 hours, came back, and then a guy gets hit on a scooter. They rush across the street to get him out of the road. There's blood all over. So we just made it here at 3 o'clock, and here is the traveling handicapper ready to go as expected.
John, do you have something to hoist up here?
Do I have what?
Do you have a drink or something to hoist up for the happy hour?
I just had 2 IPAs, and we ran here, and I do not have a drink at this point. I can't wait to get another one after this is done.
To your dedication for being here today in the happy hour handicap for Let It Run, here's to you, buddy.
All right, lift one for me, Fred.
I'll be lifting 1 or 2 for sure. Okay, so here we are in our happy hour handicapping. First, once again, for our betting strategies 101, John is going to cover a couple topics here. He's first going to do something called a split try with 2 favorites the key above and below. He'll talk about that. And the second issue is going to be, and it happened to him last week, when everybody's playing a favorite in the pick fives and singling a favorite in the pick 5, and you see that happening, there are some options to help you if that horse should end up losing, some options to help you make something out of it. And John's going to talk about that. So first, let's talk about that split try key. John, let's hit that one.
All right. My whole life, when I was younger, I'd always chase the ice cold exacta, the 2 favorites. You can't lose. They're going to run 1-2, and you have to almost hit 50 to 60% of those cold exactas in order to make money. They pay $7, $9, $10. It's impossible to make money if you do it in the long haul. They just don't come in. So many times you see a long shot come closing and you're leaning, trying to like hold him off, and he beats you. And then you're like, oh my God, I run first and third on the cold exacta. So I just been avoiding the cold exacta, not playing it, and then just putting the all button between 2 horses I like. If I like 2 favorites, I'll play 2, both of them on top, the all button by 2 horses in the back end. If I think it's an ice cold exacta, I'll play, say, 1 on top with the all button with the 3 horse in third, and you're just hoping. One time I remember Oakland, I caught a 60-1 shot, split my 2 favorites, and I had $10 exact or $5 try, and it came back like $4,000. So wow. I'm done chasing those ice cold exactas, trying to win $7. It's now, if I like the favorites, instead of just passing the race, I'll try to split them with a split try with the 2 favorites.
And I did hear about somebody who plays that ice cold exacta. Let that go.
Cold. Dave Weaver.
He's a good guy. Good guy, good handicap.
He's a great guy. I'm friends with him. Yep.
That's his deal. So, okay. So the next one was, again, the split. We'll talk about the next topic, John.
It happened to us last week when, we singled Barnes on the ticket that we gave out. And, we thought his class would prevail, and he was so far faster than everybody. But when he spots the field,
he was floating across the track at Parks.
Yeah, he was slow. That's the information we got. But then when he's 15 lengths behind the pack down the backstretch in a 6 furlong race, I knew we were
Right.
cooked. I mean, no matter what, he couldn't possibly do that. So every one of my tickets singled Barnes every which way. I got nothing to show. Once he loses, I'm done for the day, and I'm stuck betting pick threes at the end of the day, which I hit the pick
Right.
three that got my money back. So that was, but the pick five for 50 cents wound up paying 3,500 if you could have just beat Barnes. The other four were basically logical $4, $5, $5, $8 winners, other than beating Barnes. So you have to play a ticket very small with your key horses and maybe hit the all button in the race where every single ticket is singling them. So if I didn't single that Barnes and you play all 8 horses by 2, by 1, by 1, by 2, it might be a $16 ticket. But that $16 ticket, if I did that, would have paid 3,500. And all my opinions were right on 4 out of the 5 races, except the race that I singled. And I'm just kicking
Yeah,
myself
that's
right now
key.
to not play a small ticket when your other keys win. Yeah, it hurts.
So that's a good strategy. And as you mentioned, when you look back in the rear view mirror, as we often do as handicappers, we look in that rear view mirror a lot. And we probably should do it more often. And that's another segment we'll talk about, John, the rear view mirror. That's another segment to come. But when
Yep.
you look at what you did last week, yeah, it worked out. It would have worked out if we did that. So again, we're building, we're learning, we're putting together some good information. And John, that's again another good segment on betting strategies as we continue. John, are you hot? Are you getting hot there? You look like you're looking for shade.
It's 90 degrees here. I'm on the porch upstairs on off of King Street in Charleston. So I can't imagine ever coming here in the summertime. I probably wouldn't ever do it.
I was going to say, it's the end of September and it's 90 degrees.
I'm gonna try to go inside if I could get reception. Yeah, it's 90 degrees here.
Well, you look like you're sweating. So you go ahead and get yourself cool. I mean, nobody travels like you do, John. The traveling handicapper, once again, even once you are located where you're being, you're still traveling. You're going from outside to inside. You just
I'm
can't
still
stop
traveling from outdoors to indoors.
So hey, let's
stop.
take a minute to thank our 2 sponsors here. The Vape Shop, located on Route 33 in Hamilton, where they have some of the best vaping supplies and all your CBD needs. In addition, Cases Pork Roll, family owned and operated since 1870. Cases for the taste. Definitely don't want to miss that if you have an opportunity to get some pork roll. So, John, we're going to take a little time today to introduce another segment. I mean, tomorrow at 12:30, we're going to break down the late pick 5 at Belmont at the Big A. We talked about that a little bit off the air. I think there's some good races there. We'll look at that. Obviously, we could even look at a little bit once we get some intel on what's going on at Churchill. But the race that we're going to look at today with our what we call our deep dive segment is going to be the 10th race at Churchill Downs tomorrow, the newly named the Lucas Classic. It's a 1.125 miles on dirt. It's a nice little field there. A nice little field of 7 horses. We're going to take a minute to go through them. And a little tip of my hat to the legendary, great D. Wayne Lucas. John, I know you had opportunity to speak with that beautiful gentleman. That was a few years ago, right?
2 years ago in the summer at the sale at Saratoga. Just, what a memorable conversation. And my buddy Dave Rutkin, affectionately known as Skins, absolutely caught the moment on video through the fence. And, I got that memory forever of me, talking to the coach, D. Wayne Lucas.
And the conversation, from what I could see, he was so casual, relaxed. It wasn't like he was trying to walk away from you every time you stopped talking or something. It was like there was again, you're a very knowledgeable handicapper horse player yourself. So to have an opportunity to talk to him must have been like super cool.
That was definitely a dream fulfilled, getting to spend, few minutes with him. And just like you said, Fred, he is one of the nicest guys who said, I told him I have a picture of the 3 of us from when Charismatic won the Kentucky Derby. And I had a picture of us that I wanted him to sign. So he said, I'm here till September. Please come back, find me, and I'll be glad. I really like to see the picture,
Wow.
and I'll be happy to sign it for you. So I never made it back up there, to my regret. That picture's not signed now, but a picture with him and the video with him is, pretty much enough.
That's correct, John. That's an awesome story. Okay, so we're going to run through these horses, and then at the end, we're going to talk about a little bit deeper about the horse that John likes in this race and the horse that I like in this race, and whether we're going to dive or surface on these horses. So the number one horse, Willie D's, ridden by Luis Saez, trained by Michael Maker. Looks like a very solid horse, very consistent. Beyer speed figure certainly fit here. John, any thoughts on that horse before we move on?
He got in a great shape, and he won 2 in a row, and then he went Charlestown Classic, which is a mile and an eighth. That's 3 turns. So he went around 3 turns in that race. Now he's like basically cutting back to a 2-turn race. A mile and an eighth cutting back is, pretty hard, pretty crazy to say. So, and he's more of a, not really needs a lead, but like forwardly placed horse. That Charlestown Classic, he was pretty far back, and he still closed up there to miss 2 lengths. Not his ideal trip. Was wide the whole way around those 3 turns, and he came running. Maybe he trips out this time and gets a nice trip behind the speed from the rail.
I don't disagree with that. And going around 3 turns is definitely a challenge. So he is actually, in theory, cutting back, like you said. That's pretty cool. Number 2,
Yep.
Hit Show, ridden by Florent Geroux and trained by Brad Cox. This horse is third off the layoff. He likes the distance. His Beyer speed figure of 104 down there in Mountaineer. Again, a field of 7, maybe perhaps not the most classiest field compared to what we're seeing here in this grade 2 $500,000 race, but put up a nice Beyer speed figure. I think that certainly fits here. And coming third off the layoff, I think he's got a good chance. He ran pretty well in that race that he won. Had a little trouble in the grade 1 race with Mindframe and Sierra Leone in that race. So that's the number 2 Hit Show, John.
Yeah, coming back third off the over in Dubai, the Meydan race, the winner of the Dubai World Cup, $12 million race. Then he came back. Usually, you always need one coming back from Dubai. So the Foster that featured the grade 1 types, the Mindframe, Sierra Leone, First Mission. They're the next step up, the top of the top. So now the race at Mountaineer, more like a grade 2 or grade 3 type race, and he showed that that's what he is. So the Lucas, this one here, none of the big guns are here. So this race, hits him between the eyes. Third race back after the Dubai trip. And the horse that he beat last time in Mountaineer, Not This Boy, was the hot horse, and he got bet down to favoritism in that 7-horse field, and he did hold on, and he showed a lot of grit in the stretch. So definitely a player.
And again, this is a nice race with a lot of good horses. Another good horse is the number 3, Rattle and Roll, ridden by Julien Leparoux, trained by Kenneth McPeak, who today was seen on DRF talking about who's going to ride for Brian Hernandez. And I hope we all wish in the horse racing community, Brian Hernandez Jr., a quick recovery from the injuries that he had. So we're going to talk a little bit about, maybe tomorrow we'll find out more about who is going to ride Mystic Dan in that race. But how do you like this horse, John? What do you think about Rattle and Roll?
Well, it's first time back since April from the Meydan trip. But if you look at his workouts, I mean, this horse never worked out like these bullets. I mean, he's a closer that all of a sudden is showing this speed in these 3 furlong workouts at Churchill, like 2 bullets in a row and then 5 best out of 124. So, you know what? I was going to try to, not even use him, but off them workouts with McPeak, I definitely got to put him in because, he has the class to run with these for sure. And the workouts just jump off the page.
I'm a little not against him, but I mean, he loves Churchill Downs. He's got 4 wins at Churchill Downs. He got 4 wins at the distance. I don't know that I'm Julien Leparoux is a great jockey. I'm just not sure, how he's the first time he's on this horse. Kenneth McPeak, I don't know if he had other jockeys he could have gotten, but we can see how that plays out. But that's my thought on that horse. Okay, let's go to number 4, Prince of Power, 30-1, ridden by Jockey Esquivel, trained by, I guess, I don't know the relationship, perhaps you do, Jesus Esquivel. This horse certainly clearly seems to be jumping into the deep end. Speaking of dive or surface, he's more likely to continue to go down once he dives in the deep end here. John, what do you think about this horse, Prince of Power?
Yeah, I was gonna like toss him for sure. He is by far the main speed, and that's why I could see the one sitting right behind him. And then when he tires, top of the stretch, the one possibly gets the first jump on all the closers. But he definitely you throw out that turf race at Kentucky Downs, put an X through that. Pretty competitive against who he was facing. Now he is jumping into the deep waters, like you said. Very tough for him to hold on, but he'll be leading top of the stretch and see how far he could go.
I agree. I think he's clearly the pace setter. He has an E8 speed figure from Brisnet, meaning he'll be out in front. His early pace U.S. time form figure is 123, certainly a lot higher than 111 from Willie's D's, but again, class is the big change there. So, okay, number 5, again, we got to figure out. I believe when I was listening to the DRF segment on who was going to ride, he was kind of leaning toward Francesco Arrieta. He wasn't sure if there was going to be any scratches in this race, and he's got his agent looking around for jockeys, but he mentioned Francesco Arrieta a few times. So what's your thoughts on, obviously, for Kentucky Derby winner Mystic Dan, and what his thoughts are in his chances here? Obviously, a class in the field, I would think, morning line favorite at 5-2. What do we think, John?
At those odds, I always like to try to beat the Derby winner. He's just going to get over bet because he won the Derby. He has one win since the Derby, and that was in the Grade 3 Blame. He did beat Antiquarian, who just won that crazy race at Saratoga when Mindframe
Yeah.
fell, and Sierra Leone was way back and couldn't get there. So Antiquarian was the winner of that race. So he did beat Antiquarian, which came back to show his talents. So you can't rule him out, but at those odds, low odds, I'm going to try to beat him, and he'd be one of the ones I'd almost like toss. But tough to. He should get a nice trip, sitting inside and close up the rail like he's been known to do.
Just going to wait and see who Kenneth McPeak ends up identifying to ride, and that may also be based on who's available. He seems to think that the jockey that most likely would be available, pending any scratches or changes, was Francesco Arrieta, who certainly is a capable jockey. Horses also, Mystic Dan, also working out, lights out. You mentioned the other horses who were working out, lights out, putting in some serious bull workouts at Churchill Downs. So I think he's going to be ready to go. And you're talking about turf to dirt. We know that's often an angle you want to look at. So you have to keep an eye on the number 1 prime power there from Brisnet, Mystic Dan. I'm going to go to the number 6 horse again. Next, John Disarm. I find this horse to be pretty interesting. Obviously, with Irad Ortiz getting on for Steve Asmussen. This horse has been a little off form lately, but he's raced in Grade 1 and Grade 2 races. He put up a 104 Beyer speed figure at Saratoga in the Whitney when he lost to Sierra Leone and Highland Falls. Not anything to be ashamed of there. That 104 Beyer speed figure sits well in this field. He is third off the layoff. John, what do you feel about this son of Gunrunner?
Disarm, I have been all in on that horse the last 2 starts. If he would have got second to Sierra Leone, I would have won the big contest I was in, and I would have got my seat to the Breeders' Cup and a seat to the NHC, and probably would have won about 35,000 in prizes if he would have got second to Highland Falls, who got the jump on him, because I was all for 46-1. I just played a cold exacta Sierra Leone over him. I think the next week he's the real 1.25 mile horse, and he just didn't fire. Plus he was in the middle of all that, horses falling around him, and he got way back 6x17 lengths. Now you're getting Ortiz, who's going to be a little bit more aggressive than Rosario has ever been. Maybe he could get him in the race a little bit more, but with the paceless race, other than the 4 leading and maybe the 1 sitting behind, it's going to be tough for like the closers to really get into it. And I can see Disarm maybe getting up for third, but I can't see much better than that. Even though I love the horse and I'm always on him.
Yeah, it clearly looks like he's going to be up against it from a pace figure. I looked at the time form pace earlier today on DRF and saw what they had to offer, and they clearly thought Disarm was going to have a little trouble due to the lack of any serious speed in a small field of 7. Speaking of 7, we're going to go to the number 7, Banishing, ridden by Tyler Gaffalione. Tyler Gaffalione is getting pretty hot down in Churchill Downs, by the way, from the last couple of days I've watched, and trained by David Jacobson. This horse won his last 2 races, John, looked pretty good in the last two races with Gaffalione aboard. The first time Gaffalione hopped on, he won by a nose. The second time, he won by 2 lengths in Charlestown Classic, as you mentioned that before, regarding Banishing and Willie D's. So what do we think, John, about the son of Ghost Zapper?
One of the funnest horses around. I mean, Banishing, he shows up, he runs every time. He's got 9 starts this year, 4 wins, 4 seconds. So he's right there. He could be, so close to being 8 out of 9 this year. David Jacobson is not afraid to run this horse anywhere, anytime, any distance. He'll come back on 3 weeks, 2 weeks rest. And he just won the Charleston Classic around 3 turns. Just the funnest horse to root for. And while the iron is hot, Jacobson is trying to strike. So definitely one of the major players, if not, should be the favorite in my eyes.
Well, he's close to the favoritism. He's 3-1. Mystic Dan is 5-2, and I think you're right. Many horse players will be betting Mystic Dan because his name resounds with the Derby winner. You think Mystic Dan, you think Derby winner. Certainly a worthy morning line favorite for sure, but there could be a lot of bouncing around here. I also like the fact that David Jacobson and Gaffalione win a lot of races, 36%, 33%. So, and again, I think Gaffalione is going to have a good meet down there at Churchill Downs. So, okay, let's talk now, John, whether we're going to dive or surface. If we dive, we're going to dive for a pearl, looking for a winner. I'm going to pop your pick up here. There's John's pick for the Lucas Classic. The number 1 horse, Willie D. John, are we diving or are we surfacing here?
Because of who's in the field and the odds we're going to get and the great trip I can see the one getting, I'm going to dive. I'm going to think his odds are going to be worth it with Luis Saez, Mike making a trip out here. He'll get one of those sitting second around behind the 4, get the first jump, and then all the closers have question marks, and he'll have to hold off, Banishing, Hit Show, Rattle and Roll, all those. So maybe he gets the first jump turning for home, and at those odds, I think in this field you might get 5-1 because Hit Show, Mystic Dan, and Banishing are going to be lower. So I'm diving for the 5-1. I'm expecting to get on Willie D.
So what do you think happened in that last race? I know it was around 3 turns. Do you think that affected him? Why every other race before that he was in the first, each turn until what? So what do you think happened? Was it the 3 turns that did it to him?
I think 3 turns. The course is so short. So if you're stuck in the 7 hole out of 8 horses, you can't get to the rail quickly. I mean, you bust out of that gate, it's on the turn already. So he's 4 wide. Now they're going down a backstretch. He's got a little bit of time to try to get over and get the next turn. And it's tough to, get over. And he was 3 to 4 wide the whole way and never saw the rail. And he still closed and, missed against Banishing, who got a way better trip than him.
Agreed. And again, as a speed player, I can't deny that. I think you're right. It's interesting about the 3 turns at Charlestown. I kind of didn't realize that 100%. So that's kind of some good information for our viewers to keep in mind when you're looking at that. So, okay, so you're going to dive on Willie D, John. I'm going to dive on the number 2 Hit Show. I've watched this horse run several times. I went back and looked at a couple of the replays. I mean, Florent Geroux is certainly a quality jockey who's been on this horse most times and knows the horse very well. I know one thing that is of a concern, and you can comment on this, John. Brad Cox, obviously the top trainer, been putting out winners for a long time. This horse is 3rd off the left. Talk about working out for the return, putting up some serious bullet workouts at Churchill Downs at 5 furlongs. So I think this horse may sit the perfect trip, obviously behind the pace setters, as you mentioned, number 1 and number 4, Prince of Power. I think he might be the best horse to be up on the front runners and be ready to close when they get to the finish line. And I think, I don't think there's a big chance for this horse to bounce. I think certainly he's ready, 3rd off the left, to put up another strong effort. And at 7-2, I certainly think he's probably going to stay around that number because there's going to be a lot of money going to Mystic Dan and to Banishing. And certainly I couldn't deny anyone for their thoughts for putting their money on those 2 horses. But so John, in our dive or surface, John is going to dive in on the 1 Willie D. I'm going to dive in on the number 2 Hit Show, and we're just going to surface on all the other horses, but we can put those horses together in any discussions you want later on in the bets. So John's pick is right up there for the Classic, and that is his pick. And my pick, as I mentioned, is the number 2 Hit Show. So we'll probably get a chance to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow, John, I believe. I think we're going to be here. Not I don't think. I know we're going to be here at 12:30 tomorrow. John, I know that you've had one heck of a day there down in Charleston, John. I can only imagine you're looking forward to get your first taste of another IPA or whatever you have in
Yes,
mind,
I am.
John. And
I'm missing happy hour now.
Okay. We got you started on a good foot here as far as horse talking, John. I know that's step 1. Step 2, you're going to have a couple beverages. Tell everybody down here who's with you. Have a great time, John. And once again, thank you to our sponsors, the Vape Shop and Cases Pork Roll. And we will talk to you again tomorrow, John. Have a great time, John. Thanks again for being on, and we'll talk tomorrow.
All right. My main focus tomorrow, Fred, is Churchill. I did that pick 5 sequence, so I'm going to focus on Churchill. You got Belmont covered, so we'll go quickly through both cards.
Absolutely. And we'll put up our pick 5 picks tomorrow. John's at Churchill Downs, mine at Belmont at the Big A. And we will talk again. John, I hope you have a better night than you had a day getting to where you're at. I'm sure you will. I've seen you bounce back. I know a horse bouncing is not good, but John Costa knows how to bounce back. So bounce away, John. All right, bud?
All right. See you guys.
All right,
everybody, let him run.
Let him run. All right, later.